Hello and welcome inside another edition of the Scores Table. Brian Haenchen, Danny Riego here with you. Danny, you know I love that 1 minute and 11-second intro video.
So you can figure out what we're going to talk about?
For starters, yes, that, but then also it gives me time to panic, realize that my computer might run out of battery over the next hour, and it gives me enough time on the back end there where I've timed it up now that I can get together at the table, get the backpack, pull back over here, root through it, get the cord and the cable, but not actually plug it in. So it's a wonderful thing to have that 1 minute and 11 seconds.
That is that's well done. That's well done. You said you've been starting to say that this year is see it like because we just for the audience like so Hank and I will a lot of times just talk and then he'll just press the button and then he started signing off with see you in a minute and 11 seconds.
Yeah, just because, I don't know why. I'm just an idiot. Anyway, Danny, there's a lot of basketball here as I plug in the computer so we don't go black out here in just a second. A lot of basketball was played on Tuesday. Some really notable results. We have Hamilton Southeastern falling to Pendleton Heights. I think that's the one that certainly grabs my attention. I think most of the night we're going to be joined by Adah Hupfer and Olivia Jones, a couple players from that team from Pendleton Heights, to talk about that win in their season so far. We had Center Grove taking down Plainfield despite a big game from Hannah Menser. A game that I was at. Westfield beat Carmel in what is best described as a rock fight, I would say. And any other games that I'm missing on the first overview? Brebeuf Jesuit advanced with a win over North Central in the county tournament, as did Roncalli over Decatur Central. That sets up a game of Franklin Central and Roncalli. But anything else, Dan, that's jumping out to you that I missed?
No. And we were talking about off air. I think it's still early enough where any of the conclusions that we draw from a game, say that's played last night in this instance, is not enough to, indict or crown on the other side, the conclusion of a team or who they're going to be. But it is getting there. Like it's getting late early, as the sports cliche goes. Uh-huh. And I do think that some of these teams are now starting to figure out, well, wow, we better fix this or this is going to be a problem. And I think some of those things were in the conclusions last night.
December 17th. So as we record this on December 10th, we're exactly 7 days away from the midpoint on the calendar of the season, as Danny pointed out. We'll have a column or something like that on IndyStar.com recapping that. But you're right. It's getting late early, as they say. And you're kind of getting to that point now where teams, they're kind of falling into those bins of you kind of are what you are. And obviously still there's a lot of room to change, a lot of time left to change, but we kind of have an idea of where things are. And I feel like we're kind of getting, I don't know about a full-on pecking order. We're definitely starting to see the tiers start to form in each of the classes. And there will be maybe some fluctuations, but I don't see many of the teams that are established among the top, like the Lawrence Centrals, for instance, Pike, Norwell, I think maybe one of the more surprising one for some people. I think you and I have been on there from the beginning, but teams like that kind of holding their spot in there. And that segues nicely into Center Grove. I didn't have a chance to watch the game. We had Clark Wade there shooting highlights, texting me updates on it. He was impressed with CG. Danny, I know that you came away particularly impressed. Before I toss it to you, I'll throw out some stats for the Trojans. Grayson Gilliard with 24 points on 7 of 13 shooting. Oh, my goodness. At 11 points apiece from Lilia Tapak and, I'm missing her first name, Mackenzie Pierce, the junior, both with 11 points. So I will just throw it to you on just your takeaways from the game and what you saw from CG.
So you're going to see them live. I can't wait for you to see them because I think we can have a better conversation as to who they are. But my point of we're starting to get to the point where we figure out who teams are, I think is really, really well exemplified by Center Grove because they are so new to who they've been the last few years in regards to personnel. And that really is – that's sports, right? I mean, we can't indict a team because they start a freshman point guard who to some might be playing out of position. Like we need to give this some time to develop and mature. And I think last night, Center Grove going on the road to Plainfield gives us one of those, Kodak snapshots as to who Center Grove is now. Okay. Mm-hmm. I saw Center Grove when they were really, really early. It was their first, it might have been even been their first game of the year. Yeah. Their opener Followed him very briefly through the Johnson County tournament, and then saw him at Plainfield. You're going to see him at Bloomington South against presumably one of the 5 best teams on the South. So it does give us a little bit of a progression. The first thing I would tell you about Center Grove, you had mentioned Grayson Gilliard and kind of shook your head. Early in the year, I had said that this is one of the most difficult kids to guard in the state. And I had said one of the reasons why was because of her strength and her ability to get to the free throw line. But I had also mentioned that she was shooting the 3 really well. And now we're 9 games into the season, and she's a 46% three-point shooter. 46% three-point shooter. That gives her that third level. The other thing that I noticed last night on the film when it comes to Grayson Gilliard, and I would love to hear kind of how anxious and what are the things you're going to look for in watching Grayson Gilliard, because, I think she's going to find herself on that all-star team. I think we'll see how high she gets into this Miss Basketball conversation. But this quote-unquote swing offense and this offense that stuck runs and all of that, what it does with Grayson Gilliard is it very naturally moves her around. I started to watch that game in the second half, trying to decipher if there was pattern to what she was doing. And I don't think there really is. Like, sure there is. Okay. Mm-hmm. But she's in full court transition and open floor stuff. That stuff is really hard to guard. There is some post action for her. She's in some backdoor sets, but she moves around quite a bit within that offense. And that's just one of the things, and just moving a kid around that can make her very difficult to guard. But I don't know. I mean, you're going to see her against Bloomington South. We've talked about her off air. What do you like about her? And what are you anxious to kind of see what she can do?
The strength. I tell you, I feel like Grayson is kind of a known quantity, and I say that obviously is the highest of compliment. Like, we know what we're going to get for Grayson. She's going to get her points. I'm most interested, honestly, Danny, to see the pieces around her, because that was my question coming into the year: was how are they going to come along? How is Grayson going to be supported? And how much of this is going to be a one-woman show? Well, as last night demonstrated, and they have throughout the season, it's not that at all, which is very encouraging and very exciting. And, not that I ever doubted them, but, I mean, Stuckmeyer is just – I mean, the man is has been as steady and consistent as they come, and his teams have just been that exemplary model, again, of just consistency and just what you're going to get with them night in and night out. And, I mean, my goodness, I wrote – I think in the Fab 15 or weekly wrap, one of the two, that Center Grove schedule after that Franklin Central game, they played Fishers right after that, and then it softened up a little bit, which I feel like, and I'm interested to hear what Kevin and the girls have to say about that, but that felt like the perfect frame to win some games, build some confidence, and then most importantly, just find who you are, like to establish that identity, and like you said, just kind of develop those pieces, see how everything kind of fits together, see what works, and then you jump back into the challenges this week where it's Plainfield, and then it's Bloomington South. And then I believe the schedule continues ramping up from there as I try to pull it up here. But, that felt like invaluable time. And just based off of what you've been saying, what we've been seeing in the results, looking at the statistics, it seems like they took advantage of that time. Where now you kind of see it against a Plainfield and a Bloomington South. And a little bit down the line here, it's going to be that Carroll Toomey tournament where they're going to get Brownsburg and then potentially Silver Creek or either Silver Creek or North Knox in the next game. And then a Jennings County and Carmel team. So there's a lot of opportunity here early in the season for Center Grove to figure things out. They took advantage of that, and now we're seeing them come into kind of that fully realized team. I think that is going to be the one that we'll see in the postseason.
Yeah, you mentioned Mackenzie Pierce. That's one kid that I think coupling with Gilliard, I think we knew what we were going to get from her, which was timely shooting, continuity from last year's team, reliability in regards to handling the ball, all the things that Stuck probably values with kids that he plays. But last night, Mackenzie Pierce had 3 threes and maybe as many possessions, maybe 4. There might be one that slid in there. It was like a 9-0 run by Mackenzie Pierce in 4 possessions. Wow. And the ability to make shots alongside a kid like Grayson Gilliard is of paramount value. Because just from the obvious, right? Now you have to close out on a shooter. If you don't close out on the shooter, then you're going to get clean looks. But the development of the kids that have not played varsity basketball yet or Center Grove is the story. And this is what I would point you to watch when you go down to Bloomington South to watch them, and anybody else that hasn't seen them play. The development of Lilia Tapak at the point guard position in the 29 class, to me, is really interesting because she comes into high school as being one of those kids that's like, hey, they have a shot maker, another kid that can make shots in a Center Grove jersey, and all of those things are true. But the one thing the thing that attracted my eyeballs last night when watching Center Grove was like, Tapak is one of those kids that like closes out correctly, like closes out to the correct shoulder. She threw a strike on a backdoor pass to Gilliard. There was another time where Gilliard came off weak side to the strong side block. They fronted it. It requires a pass over the defender to a lead hand at the rim for Gilliard, and she put it absolutely on a dime. Like, there's a kid who has only played probably 9 games or 10 games of varsity basketball. And if you look at her in the first game to this 12th game, she is taking huge steps in getting better. Now, let's go back to what her reputation was coming in. I think the kid, and again, I hope she listens to the second part of this sentence here, but I think she missed like her first 13 or 14 threes of the year. And she's coming in as like this quote unquote shooter. Well, I think she's like a 35% 3-point shooter right now. And that's with her 14 misses, which means mathematically, she's probably shooting 60% from 3 in the last 8 basketball games. She had 3 last night against Plainfield, all in the first half, and they were all daggers, including a 3 in the last play of the first half. So Center Grove's starting to put it together. They're undefeated. They've got Bloomington South. If they beat them, they come back from that road trip at Plainfield and Bloomington South, maybe putting themselves in that kind of Pike, Lawrence Central, Southern Hemisphere conversation, Hank.
And then they should be, if they win tomorrow night, they should be undefeated going into the last games of December, where it is going to be Brownsburg. And then more than likely, if they beat Brownsburg, Silver Creek in the second game. So that's going to be phenomenal entertainment. What do you make of Plainfield now? That's their 3rd loss of the season. They lost to Ben Davis, which prior to last excuse me. Prior to last night was Ben Davis's only win of the season. They lose the stinker to Homestead, which you and I were both at, and then they lose last night to Center Grove, a game where they got down big early, come back in the third quarter behind a big third quarter from Hannah Menser, it looked like, challenged them down the stretch, but just weren't able to hang in there.
Menser's game looks like it's in a really good spot on both sides of the floor, particularly on the offensive side. If you ran a highlight reel of the point production that Hannah Menser has, I think it would look, and I'm hypothesizing here, okay? It's just my feel. I feel like it would look very different than a Grayson Gilliard highlight film in regards to point production. I had mentioned earlier that naturally the swing offense and what Center Grove does with Stuckmeyer and naturally moves Gilliard around. I still think that Menser is, I don't want to say that they're not moving her around, but it seems like all of the production that she's getting is off of that kind of, that dribble attack kind of off of the top. Here's where Menser's getting really comfortable, and which I really like. She's putting the ball on the deck. Okay. She's working to get to the free throw line. She's working. And I think that I think we are still kind of very early in the stages of her maybe ascending into a Gilliard level scorer. I mean, she's always had the skill to be able to do that, but schematically around her, I think to have a central kind of scoring figure, it takes some time for everybody else to kind of just adjust around it. So while something looks off on Plainfield, because I'm not used to Plainfield losing a lot of basketball games. I don't even know where to go with this. Like, they're so, and they will figure this out. But I do think through this, I think I would reserve judgment. I think I would reserve sentencing, I think, until after the Hall of Fame. Like, let's give them some time to play against multiple other good basketball teams, see if they can find a way. I mean, you're running this highlight package right now, right? I mean, Hannah's shots, like the three, that little spinner on there. I mean, it's all right there in the middle third of the floor. Like, it's and like sick crossover, thick footwork, great shot. Okay, middle third. And so, look, am I saying that I just think that Hannah Menser is such a gifted scorer that, if you look at Gilliard, for example, Like Gilliard is going to get corner three. She's going to get transition. She's going to get post. She's going to get all these different looks. I just don't, the variety with which Menser scores, I think probably needs to be a little bit deeper, because I do think that Plainfield maybe is starting to prove that they're a little bit different than in years past. But I am not off of the Plainfield bandwagon, but I do think that there's some teams in between Plainfield and Lawrence Central Pike that maybe we wouldn't have had there originally at the beginning of the season. Fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Plainfield Hall of Fame too. I'm kind of waiting to reserve judgment because I've seen them I saw them at the beginning of the year against McCutcheon, middle of the first half against Homestead, and then we'll get to see them again here in 2 weeks at Hall of Fame against, who is it? They open, I forget who they open against Norwell, right? Norwell or Evansville Central. Either way, it'll be a great game. Mm-hmm. And then they'll go in to play the nightcap potentially against Warsaw. So,
you know what was great last night and watching that stream, though, is there were a lot of possessions where Berkeley Williams was matched up on Grayson Gilliard. Like, I know she is so fun to watch, that kid, because she plays so hard. She does it the right way. And it just, look, I'm sure that Coach Benz asked her to do certain things, and I'm sure on some level she asks to do certain things. But those things that are asked of her and that she asks to do on her coaching staff seems to all be so different game to game to game. And I would bet on a basketball team that has Berkeley Williams that does multiple different things. That's the kind of variety I think that I look for with maybe other kids on the offensive side. Again, I'm not trying to be overly critical of them, but they're just, I don't think they're used to losing basketball games as well. And I think that's a very fair L to Center Grove. But I think they do need a signature win. Hopefully it comes for them in the Hall of Fame. But I love watching Berkeley Williams play, and watch at the Hall of Fame. Berkeley Williams will have two very contrasting assignments, probably in the morning game and the evening game.
I would love to see them versus Warsaw, just to see her against like Bricker or Zart. Like,
yes, give me all that.
Her on Bricker, or even like against Norwell. I suppose you stick her on Rossworm because it's their top scorer, I suppose, or maybe you do Selfrinks, and Selfrinks, got what she brings to the table. But I mean, if it is Evansville Central, God, think about her versus Maddie Shirley. Now, obviously, that's a little different with Maddie dealing with some injuries, but still, that's gonna be freaking phenomenal, man. Let's shift a little bit north in the game that I was at. Like I described it, it was a rock fight in every sense of the word of being a rock fight. That was the Westfield versus Carmel game, one that obviously folks were looking forward to. It was informative. 35-32 Westfield over Carmel. Danny, I swear to God, I'm cursed because Westfield, as I talked to Kelsey after the game, had been shooting the ball better. Carmel has been shooting the ball better this season, and for whatever reason last night, if I wasn't there, that game would have been finished somewhere in the 90s. But let's start on the Carmel side. It's really interesting the way they run that defense. Nobody knows, and I'm not entirely sure if Carmel knows what they're doing because it's just so many different looks. And I kind of had an idea what to expect going into it because Donna Buckley, when I talked to her at the IHSAA game, the Noblesville coach, she said that Carmel will just kind of throw defenses at you, and you don't really know what to expect. And in talking to Westfield last night, they throw defenses at us, and we weren't really sure what to expect and what to look for. Like they thought maybe they'd get some box and one because they'd seen that before, and they had some girls who've been shooting the ball really well. Didn't see that at all. And so they saw a variety of presses. They saw a variety of zones and matches up and everything. And I think that really contributed to Westfield looking just a little bit off offensively the entire night. So that was interesting to see on the offensive end. Obviously, Carmel needs to knock down shots with a little bit more consistency. But you can tell the pieces are there, and they're playing with a lot better energy, a lot different energy under Jess in year one. Maddie Wallace had a good game for them. I didn't get a chance to see stats, but Maddie Wallace stood out, the 5'7" guard. One of their big kids inside too. Had a big game. Natalie Will and Edwards, I think it was, had a big game for them. And then on the Westfield side, before I throw over to you, Michaela Hatcher is phenomenal. She had some huge shots. And then the freshman, Gabby Bassett. That kid's a real deal. She's really fun to watch. Takes some big shots. And then Michaela Hatcher, I asked her after the game just about her the way that she runs that team, because there are moments throughout that game, particularly late, when you can see her kind of just emphatically like, slow the hell down, slow down, please, and like calling everybody together. She can tell they're getting sped up. But just her calming presence on the floor and then her ability to hit some of those big shots in big moments was huge. Huge for Westfield.
Yeah, Carmel kind of stole that moniker from Westfield, right? Can they score? Because we know that they can guard you, so they're going to be in every basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
But the margin for what the narrative would be on that game was very, very small. Like, I mean, they hit some free throws down the stretch and execute some things in ATO situation. I mean, Jess, I think, called 3 ATOs in like the same possession. And her kids just, and I don't want to say couldn't convert, just didn't convert last night. But one of the things that snake bit Carmel last night, and I don't know if I had this thought kind of on the show or just in talking to somebody, but Bella Ramsey is one of the best like kids at leaking out. Oh, you know who I was actually talking to a Sectional 8 coach, and they were talking about how Bella Ramsey just does a great job of getting up the floor. Okay. She went through that stretch where I think she had like, 3 of her career high point production outputs in as many basketball games. And if you go back and dissect how she got her point production, she gets a ton of production in leak outs and live ball change of possession, where she will get up the floor, find space. And to particularly Maddie Wallace's credit, because she's really good at pitch passing, she'll throw the ball up, put Bella Ramsey in open space or put her in a 1v1 and let her go make a play. Last night, Westfield was very cognizant that Bella Ramsey likes to do that, and they didn't get that opportunity. So that begs the question, how else are they going to score? How else is Bella Ramsey going to get her point production? How are they going to be able to make shots in dead ball change of possession? And that will be the key. I am not putting this all on the injury of Catherine Bassey and the grand return of this 28, but it will certainly help. But when Carmel's good, they're going to be able to have a mix of those two things. But I think in order to win games like at Westfield and down the road in Sectional 8, I think they're going to have both. And last night, they didn't have one of them. Or excuse me, they didn't have either of them, and they scored 30-something points. So I think that's the one thing to watch with Carmel. I think from a positive perspective, I think you nailed it. Maddie Wallace has really turned into a very, very, very good high school basketball player, like a very good one. She makes really good decisions. She's got that nice little hezzy. She doesn't have any problem in getting by primary defender. Her ability to make, decisions for her basketball team, I think, is really the metric for how if you said, how did Maddie Wallace play? It's really going to be what decisions did she make when she gets by that first primary defender? But she's pretty good. But I don't have these large sweeping conclusions with Carmel. I just know that I think they're going to have to get a mix of, kind of open floor scoring, but in dead ball change of possession, I think they've got to figure out how to make shots.
Yeah. Let's see. We're going to shift over dating now because Olivia and Adah are both on the line.
Cool.
It's already 5 o'clock. I can't believe this. Oh, I blew it again. This is being taped hours before it's actually airing, and we did so good getting through the first half an hour without blowing it.
That was my fault. I got wordy.
No. It was my fault for spewing the time, Danny. You were doing great, buddy. It timed up perfectly. But anyway, Pendleton Heights coming off a massive win last night over Hamilton Southeastern. We have 2 of the stars of the game, 2 of Pendleton Heights' top players, 2 of the best in the area, in Olivia Jones and Adah Hupfer, who join us right now. Adah and Olivia, how are you guys doing?
Good. How about you guys?
We're good.
Great. Congratulations on the win last night. I'll just start broad and stupid with this question. Just how did it feel to get that one over Hamilton Southeastern? I think it was your first win in that series in 26 tries.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It was such a good game. It was so physical. It was so much great talent out there. HSC is always obviously a very talented team. But to go out there and play as well as we did and play so together, it's been what we've been showing people all year. And something that's going to take us so much further than just that game. So it was a really great experience.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same. I think it was a great mindset win too, like to go out there, and it wasn't pretty. Like everybody who watched it, like there were turnovers for both sides. There were mistakes obviously being made, but to face the adversity and go out and be able to compete, like I think it shows a lot of our, like obviously we have some decently young team coming up, like to show them that we can go out and we can compete with whoever we want to if we put our mind to it. So I think it was a great mindset win for us.
Adah, by the way, finished with 13 points, 9 for Olivia, and then Aubrey Warfel, the junior, with 14 points as well. Girls there between the second and third quarters is kind of when you were able to turn that game and pull ahead. What shifted? What adjustments did you guys make that allowed you to kind of pull ahead there in that game?
Yeah, I think we were just looking for the open girls a lot more. I mean, I think our offense was a little bit of the struggle bus in the first half, just getting, good, clean looks. But I think after a while, we kind of settled in. We figured out how to work against their defense, how to get the ball into Adah and find open shooters. So I think, when we saw the second half score and we were right there, I think that gave everyone a lot of energy and that really helped us.
I agree.
To somebody like me, girls, when watching Pendleton Heights this year, I think it's very easy to just call this the dawn of the post Casey Warfel era. Is that fair? Like, is that how you got? I mean, does it feel like a different basketball team because she was so extraordinary at scoring the basketball and so explosive and such a big part of what you do? Or does it just kind of is it kind of take on this, like, just kind of next man up and it's really just the same team?
I feel like it's a completely different team out there. I mean, the level of our defensive ability this year, the level of the way the ball's moving, and we're finding shooters, like you just said, I had 13, Aubrey had 14, Liv had 9, like, to have everybody be able to have multiple games like that this year where we have multiple players in double figures and move the ball, and our defense is, I think, gone a whole nother step this year. And I think it's just a completely new team, new environment, and we've adapted to all the new pieces to fit together. And so I think it's just kind of turned the page and moved on. I think we're really seeing like the shift into the team of what we want Pendleton Heights basketball to look like the next few years.
That's cool. And Olivia, assuming that you agree with Adah, then I'll give you an opportunity to just tell us about some of the newer faces. I mean, of course, there's Ellie and Aubrey Warfel, and the same last name kind of applies. But I mean, I want to center in on Sammy Brunk. Did I say that correctly? Yes. Like, here's a homeschool transfer kid who comes in and is the starting point guard in the basketball. Like, just tell us about some of these individual pieces and start with Sammy and kind of go from there.
I would love to. We love our transfers so much. Not only Sammy Brooks, she's such an incredible player. Me and Adah both knew her before she got to the school, and I knew how dedicated she was to the work that she puts in, and it shows when she's out there. She's such a great point guard in addition to this team. We also have Grace Lee. She's such an athletic player. She's so good in so many different positions on the court. She's one of our better defenders on the team. Someone that we can trust to go in there and take care of the ball and to play lockdown defense. So we're so grateful for them to be here, and they are such a good addition to not only the talent but the culture that we have on this team. They're such great people. So, and I completely agree with Adah. With Casey, obviously was one of the best players that's been through Pendleton Heights. She was a great scorer, but I think every school goes through that where they, lose great players through seniors, and you have to adapt, and I think we've done that really well.
You mentioned the word culture, Olivia. I'll let you both kind of have a crack at this one. Last night seemed like a big win that can change culture of a team, season, even program to overstate it. But can you maybe put words to that? Like, what does a win against HSC, and I'm not just talking about Pendleton Heights versus HSC, but like Adah and Olivia, like, you guys know Kennedy Holman, and Kayla Stidham, and Coach Satterfield. I mean, all of the pieces. Like, did last night feel like that, or was it just another game?
I think it felt like it. Like, I think last night was a big night. Like, we talked a lot going in the locker room of, like, it's 0-0. Like, they've had us, like, we played the last 25 years. It was 24-1. Like, this was our year of a culture shift. And, like, I think it's been playing with LC to 9 points, playing with these tougher games. Like, we know our schedule to go out there and, like, making sure everybody in that locker room believes in the culture that we've built this year. And everything. I think everybody was just on the same page, no one went out there, but I definitely could feel it. Like, I think everybody knew their roles, their assignments, and I think last night was a big shift for us to see how the rest of our season goes. So,
well, I'm also really impressed too, because you took transition out of the basketball game last night. And if you watch it, Coach Rogers has his hand up, and nobody is surprised at the fact that you guys are walking it up the floor. You end up playing that game in the 30s. You end up winning the game in the 30s. You got everything that you wanted to along the way, including a nice little, you have to have those little runs where I think you led by maybe 7 or 8 points in the third quarter, where it looks like, oh my gosh, they're going to do this. Okay. When did you guys believe that you were going to do it? Was it during the game, or did you approach that game with just the highest level of confidence that you were going to get it done from the beginning?
I think Coach Rogers instilled in everybody that entire week beforehand that belief was going to be the thing that won us that game. So we all knew if we didn't believe going into it that we had a chance of winning, then it wasn't going to go the way we wanted to. So to see everyone go out there and see all the fans show out with just so much energy, I think played a huge part in how we performed. And it doesn't take much to get a little spark going under everyone. Someone makes a shot, then everyone's excited. Obviously, Aubrey Warfel did that a lot last night. So yeah. I think it was just, a team effort where everyone just feeds off each other, and that's what made it so much fun as well as competitive.
Yeah,
that's really great. And I'll shoot you back to Hank on this one. What's the ceiling? Adah, you'd mentioned the 9-point game or the single-digit game against Lawrence Central last year. And I don't want to say that anybody is counting you out, okay? But if you graduate like the all-time school's leading scorer and one of the leading scorers in the county history, the ceiling, we don't know necessarily where it is. After last night, you take down IHSAA, one of the best teams, certainly one of the better players in the state, regardless of Class and Kennedy. Now what's the ceiling for Pendleton Heights?
I think ever since last year with that Lawrence North regional game that we lost to have one, like, I think that kind of instilled with us, like, we don't want there to be a ceiling that we're putting ourselves under. Like, we want to go out every single game like we did against IHSAA, like we did against LC, to go out and compete and have belief that we can go out and compete against anybody. Like we talked about earlier, like the depth we have this year, we just haven't had the past 3 years. Like, we have so many people coming off the bench and making big plays for us, and everybody's stepping up when they need to. And I think right now, like, we are taking it game by game, like making sure we're prepping, making sure everybody keeps level headed. I think that's a big thing. You take a game like that and then you come out short. So like making sure everybody stays level headed and competitive. But we don't want to put a ceiling on us right now, because we know that we're going to keep working and see how far it can take us.
Yeah. Olivia, how did that sectional championship run? How did that kind of change the complexion of the off season? Just the mood, the energy, everything like that.
The end of last season, obviously, as bittersweet as it was, to lose to the eventual state champs. We all learned from it. Everyone returning felt what it was like to be in that kind of environment, to play against that kind of competition on a stage that big. But I think it really makes it feel like that there's nothing that we can't do. Even if we lose players, the people coming back know that it's possible and that we're capable of it. We have a lot of trust in each other that as Adah said, we don't have a ceiling for ourselves. It's just take it game by game, or our goal is to make it right back to where we were and even further. So.
Danny alluded to it, and you guys basically replaced one Warfel with 2 more, I guess, or 1.5 with Aubrey coming back. But how is the team different schematically on the floor? Like, how are things running differently without Casey and with you two kind of being the lead engines of the offense, or 2 of the lead engines of the offense?
Yeah, I would say it's moving. Like, I think we move the ball really well. It's like we find the hot hand. Like, I think last night, like, they were doubling down low. They were making us make those kicks, and we had Aubrey step up and hit threes. When they aren't going to double down on the post, we're taking advantage of that. When Liv's hot, we're finding her. Like, I think this year we've been so good about making sure, like, we're finding the hot hand, we're working together, and there's so much trust about knowing where everybody's going to be. And, like, I just think that's been huge, just knowing where everybody's going to be, playing together. And I think that's a big thing. And then our defense, like I pointed out it earlier, like last night we were defensively sound. We knew where we were going to go, knew where the spots were. And like, I think we held KK to 9 points, which she's an incredible player, obviously. So being able to do that and know where everybody's going to be, like, that's where we're going to win our games and what we are going to continue to focus on.
Liv, how have you adapted to your role with, kind of being more of that go-to scorer for this year, one of the go-to scorers and shooters for this team? So, I mean, the production for you has been a lot more steady this year.
I think definitely knowing that Casey was leaving, obviously there was going to be a lot more shots that people were going to have to take, and stepping into a senior, being a leader, being a 4-year varsity player, I knew I was going to have to do that a little bit. I knew Adah her shots were going to increase too, and they have. She's been doing an incredible job. But there's been a lot this year that I knew I needed to step it up in. So just keeping that mindset every game that I need to be out there for my teammates and be a leader. And if we're not able to score, then find a way to score. If we're not getting rebounds, find a way to rebound. But I'd smile when Adah says defense because I think that's the most fun part. I think we're so good at being aware on defense of where our players are, the scouting report. And I think it's been such a huge part to our success, especially against teams like IHSAA where there's so many talented players out there.
Is that something that Nick hammers on you guys during the summer and he forces you to buy into, or are you naturally inclined as Pendleton Heights kids to enjoy playing defense, or do you not enjoy playing defense? I don't want to assume anything.
I think it's been a drill. Like, obviously, like when we've played games close over the past 2 years, since we've been in high school, like that's been a big thing, is that we want to make sure like our defense is where we're going to win our games, and getting out and getting those transition buckets that we can get quick, easy hitters. Like that's something we drill every day in practice, every day before games, is your defense is going to win you these games and going to take you where you want to go. So I think everybody's bought into that. And like, I think our communication on defense has gone way better this year. Like everybody's so bought into the defensive end that then when that starts rolling, our offense kind of feeds from that versus our defense feeding off of our offense. And I think that's a really great thing.
Olivia, what about for you? How do you like playing defense? It's your chance to just air it out there for Nick and everybody in the world if you hate playing defense.
I love defense. I think it's a very underlooked aspect of the game. I think there's a lot of people, especially in sports like basketball now in high school, everyone wants to go out there and score points. So if you can go out there and stop them from doing that, you're going to have a good chance of winning the game. But I think exactly what Adah said. It's such a confidence booster when we can go down and get 3 stops in a row and then get 3 back-to-back runs. Like I think that's such a great feeling. It gives so much energy. It gets people excited, and it just shows like how hard we've been working and practice. Doing drills with the towel to keep our hands out because we know we're an aggressive team. We foul a lot, but it's something we're always working on, and it's something that we've gotten so much better with, and I think it showed a lot last night too.
Speaking of defense, you're going to have a big challenge coming up here, tomorrow night with Jillian Barr and Delta coming through. Have you guys started scouting them much, and just how do you go about trying to defend Jillian?
Yeah, I think that's going to be kind of what we do every game. Like, obviously, we're going to have our scout, and we're going to stay true to what we do in our concepts. And I think it's just, knowing obviously where she's at and everything, but I think we know what we need to do and go out and compete, and we're going to leave it all on the floor like we have every game. Like, I don't think we're going to be switching much. Like, we know how we're going to run our defense and everything, and just go out and make sure we know where everybody's at.
And then last one for you guys, Adah, for you in your game, I guess, just the one thing that everybody talks about with you is just your mobility in the post and ability to kind of create for yourself and do some different things maybe that people aren't expecting to see from a player of your height and size. What did you focus on over the summer, I guess? Has it just been kind of like the footwork and just kind of sharpening that skill, or is there other parts of your game that you're looking to expand?
Yeah, I think over the summer and, as soon as AU hit like this past 3 months, 4 months, my shot's been a big thing, like my 3-point shot, making sure that I can do that when my team needs me, to not be able to go down in the post and clog that, to come out and hit those threes and be able to take it off the dribble. Like, that's just been a huge thing, is to continue developing that 3-point shot and making an all-around game. And I think we've been I've been doing a good job at that. I think just our shooting as a team's gotten a lot better, but that's been my main focus, is making sure to round out that game completely.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Adah Hupfer, Olivia Jones with us on the scores table. Thank you guys so much for talking with us. Best of luck the rest of the season. I'm sure I'll be seeing you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, girls. Good luck.
Take care. All right, Danny, I know you need to get out of here. I also need to get out of here. We have 6 minutes left. Let's quickly wrap up that interview. Thoughts?
Well, first off, the game against Delta is a trap. And it's an absolute trap for those girls. And so I think that's going to be a really good test for them because, I mean, after that Delta game, I mean, Pendleton Heights plays a very good schedule. And yes. I think one of the reasons why they advance in tournaments, exemplified by last year, is because of the battle testing that they go throughout the year. Now it's less likely to fall into a trap in postseason, but we'll see. After a big win, we'll see them bounce back against Delta because Delta's 8-1 and they're plenty good enough to beat them. A couple of things that I noticed about I first wanted to compliment Nick Rogers as a coach. You put together this game plan. You implement it during the week of practice. You execute it. You talk about the things. There are 4 or 5 things that he probably said had to happen or had to do. You have to take care of the ball. We have to locate this shooter. We have to win the rebounding battle because if they miss threes and close out, we have to win the rebounding battle. We have to take pace out of it. We have to do all of those things, right? But some of those things are uncontrollables, like making shots. Like, you can take good looks and things like that, but they got some big time threes. Nick drew up a perfect game plan that his kids executed probably to 85%, and it was enough. And I think that is something that Nick can fall back on, and I think that's something that this team can fall back on because that's what postseason basketball is. It's a one singular scouting report basketball game, or one single scouting report for one singular basketball game. And if you execute it, you're going to win it. And last night we saw it. They did it. They won. They were really good. Point 2, before I hear your kind of readout on Pendleton Heights, I really liked Olivia Jones last night. I don't, and I didn't, I knew that we were going to have the opportunity to maybe unpack the interview afterwards. I hope she listens to these after, but she has always been, when talking about Pendleton Heights, it's like Warfel, Hupfer, and yeah, Olivia Jones is really good too. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful kind of way to Olivia Jones, but she is a central piece of this basketball team. She guarded KK Holman for much of that game, which is sitting on her right hand. When KK did get to her right hand and did get to the block, for the most part, she didn't foul her. KK's so good at that, by the way. I mean, it's just drawing fouls and getting to the line. But I think for the most part, she was really good at protecting the rim. But if you watch her body position in guarding Kennedy Holman on the defensive side, she's shaded to that right shoulder. And those are nuanced things that I think that I found really impressive as a coach. But on the offensive side, she got to where she was trying to get. And 9 points in that game was like getting 29 in another game. It was, baskets were tough to come by, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that Olivia was able to get where she wanted to get. Like Aubrey Warfel's threes last night were many of them, not many of them, but a couple of them, and I can think of 2. The one in the right wing in the first half was off Olivia Jones' downhill attacks. So that kid's game looks really, really good. Maybe she's put in some more work, but I also think that just the graduation of certain kids on that basketball team have given her opportunities to really showcase what she can do.
I'm looking forward. I will refrain from commenting on Pendleton Heights until I have the chance to see them. I'm going to see them here, hopefully, actually Monday as I look at the schedule and they play Fishers. That'll be an interesting game. 2 teams I want to see. I'm really interested, like you said, to see that Delta game because that does kind of set up as a trap game because you have Pounds coming off a huge win. You have a Delta team that's really hungry and really pissed off after losing a game at New Palestine that they probably shouldn't have lost, all things considered. So that's going to be a really interesting game to see there tomorrow night on Thursday. Real quickly, Danny, before I get us out of here, I wanted to shout Shelbyville. Speaking of New Pal, big win last night for Shelbyville. They take down New Pal. And then a kid from one of the smaller schools, 2A, Crawford County. Crawford County is off to a strong start to the season. They're 7-2 on the year. They played a pretty tough schedule for a Class 2A school. 24.4 points per game, 11 rebounds, 3.3 steals, 3 assists, and a block per game for Indiana Wesleyan commit Emery Stroud. She's a senior, 6'2" senior forward. She's off to a really good start this season. So one to keep an eye on here. as the season progresses and the team. You know, you and I talk about how one of our favorite things about postseason time is it gives us doing the show an opportunity to kind of see some of those random counties, you know, like Northeast Dubois, Du Bois. It's the St. Louis in me, I guess, the French Canadian, whatever.
I love it. Dubois.
Yeah. Schools like that. I think we had, we had the casting comments coach on the first year we did the show.
I know if it's Caston or Caston. Yeah.
That's right. So we bounce all over the place. So getting a jump start on that here with Crawford County against 7-2. We'll dive into them a little bit deeper when we have more time. But we're up against it time-wise. We thank you guys so much for watching. Danny and I will be back on Sunday. We're going to have Deanne Ramey with us to recap Marion County Tournament. I will have been to Center Grove, Bloomington South, so I'll have some insight from there. Probably cover a game on Saturday. We'll have lots of coverage for you between then and now on IndyStar.com. I got a story up on it, actually, KK Holman, and what makes her so special. Start of a series. So we're going to do all that. Got to get us out of here. It's 5:20. Got to go. Bye.